Hey there! You ever stop and think, what's really going on behind the scenes of all the apps and software that run, well, everything? Today, we're going to pull back that curtain on corporate IT. We're diving deep into the massive, often invisible complexity that truly powers our modern world.
All right, so let's just jump right in with the big question, right? Why is managing all of a company's tech and data so incredibly hard? I mean, on the surface, you'd think it'd be pretty straightforward. But as you're about to see, the reality, well, that's a whole different story.
Okay, first things first, let's get our terms straight so we're all on the same page. When we talk about an information system, or IS for short, what are we really talking about? Well, at its heart, it's just an organized mix of resources. We're talking people, technology, and all the processes that make them work together, all with the goal of handling information. Think of it as the digital backbone of literally any company out there.
But here's the key thing to remember. This is not just about computers and code. Not even close. It's this super dynamic environment. You're trying to manage just massive amounts of data, deal with processes that are all tangled up with each other, and juggle a whole bunch of different people. You've got employees, customers, suppliers, you name it, and they all need to interact with this system.
And that idea right there, that brings us to our first big theme. The best way to think about an information system isn't as some single standalone thing. No, it's much more like a complex, living, breathing ecosystem that's all interconnected right inside the company.
Let me give you a really simple example. Let's say your sales team closes a deal. Great, but that one single action, it kicks off a whole chain reaction. That info has to flow perfectly over to the finance department so they can process the payment. And then it's got to get to HR so they can figure out the sales commissions. See? Every single step involves different systems, different people, and they all have to be perfectly in sync for it to work.
Okay, so you've got these complex, interconnected processes. Now let's just layer another massive challenge right on top of that. A constant, nonstop flood of information. And this brings us to our second section, what I like to call the data deluge of the big data era.
You know, when people talk about big data, it's not just one single problem. It's really three big challenges rolled into one. First, you've got the sheer volume. We're talking just insane amounts of data. Then you have variety. It's not all coming from one place. It's pouring in from everywhere. Internal systems, social media feeds, even those little IoT sensors on machinery. And finally, there's velocity. This data isn't trickling in. It's hitting you in real time, and it demands an answer, like right now.
And here's where it gets even trickier. A lot of that data is what we call structured. Think of the neat rows and columns in a sales database. It's organized, it's easy to analyze. But then you've got this absolute mountain of unstructured data. This is all your customer emails, those social media posts, Word documents, all of it. And this stuff is gold. It's packed with valuable insights. But it's also a total mess and unbelievably hard to make any sense of.
So, a modern information system has to be able to drink from all these different wells of information at the same time. It's not just one clean stream coming in. It's this constant mashup of internal databases, social media feeds, data from sensors, and yeah, all those messy emails and documents we were just talking about.
All right, so we've got complex processes, and we've got a flood of data. What's next? Well, the next huge challenge is what we can call the integration puzzle. It's all about making all these different pieces of technology actually talk to each other. And believe me, these challenges pop up everywhere. You've got to somehow connect internal systems that, frankly, were never built to work together. You've got to manage secure connections with your customers and your suppliers. Then you've got your whole workforce out there using a million different smartphones and tablets. And you have to make all of this work across tons of different platforms. It is a massive, massive job. I mean, just think about it for a second. Simply getting your company's finance system to share information correctly with the HR system can be an absolute nightmare. A lot of the time, they speak completely different languages, with different data structures and rules. Getting them to play nice together, it's a real head-scratcher for any IT team. So, as if all that internal complexity wasn't enough, there's this huge external pressure cooker, the nonstop, relentless pace of technology. And that really boils it down to a simple choice for any company today. You either adapt or you disappear. It's that simple.
Just look at how fast things change. It feels like yesterday, but really a few years ago, everything was about desktop apps. Today, it's all about mobile, right? You have to be where your customers are. This constant evolution costs a ton of money and eats up resources. And you know what the scariest part is?
Nobody knows for sure what's just around the corner.
And while all that's happening, you've got these critical, absolutely non-negotiable things running in the background. You're constantly defending against cyber attacks. You're trying to navigate this legal maze of regulations like GDPR, and you've got to have a solid plan for when things inevitably break. Each one of these things isn't just a to-do list item, it's a whole career field, adding yet another thick layer to the complexity cake.
So what you end up with is this constant, high-wire balancing act. On one hand, you've got this immense pressure to scale the system up as the company grows. On the other hand, you've got the reality of your budget. And all the while, you're trying to manage the people side of it, actually getting employees to use and adapt to the new tools. It's a really delicate and, frankly, a relentless challenge. Okay, so you might be thinking, how on earth do you even begin to manage all of this? It sounds like pure chaos. But it's not just chaos. It's a system of challenges that are all connected. And the only way to bring order to that chaos is with a really systematic method. So let's just quickly recap the main sources of all this complexity we've talked about. First, you've got the data deluge, just dealing with the massive volume and variety of information. Second, there's the integration puzzle, getting all the different systems, people, and processes to actually work together. And third, that non-stop technology race, the constant need to evolve, adapt, and keep everything secure.
And all of this leads us to a really crucial point. This complexity, it can get overwhelming fast if you don't manage it systematically. If you don't have a clear plan, you know what happens? You get failed projects, wasted money, and a whole lot of frustration. It's pretty much guaranteed.
So, I want to leave you with a question to take back with you, to think about in your own company. Is your organization really ready to handle this hidden and constantly growing complexity? Something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.